to 25-1. It's Colts, Patriots, Bucks, and Titans. So the Colts don't know who their quarterback is going to be. There was a report this weekend, which things were so busy with the Super Bowl. Chris Mortensen said on his show they're not going to bring Carson Wentz back. He's got a huge deal coming.
March 19th.
Yeah, like $15 million roster
Guarantee.
bonus.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, he's not going to be on the team. And the Locked On Colts podcast tweeted a picture of Mortensen and Jim Irsay like standing with their arms around each other laughing and said, if you don't think this man knows Irsay, you are sadly mistaken. He knows what's going on with this team.
That's getting out everywhere, and that they're either going to trade him or they're going to release him. And to me, that kind of news only can come from owner, GM, or head coach. That's it. So that whoever got that story, I can't recall who had it first, but so that's interesting. Good for the Titans. Well, maybe bad for the Titans because you maybe want Carson Wentz there. But how about this? I'm gonna throw this out there.
Jameis Winston to the Colts.
No, I could care less about what the Colts do. All I care about in my mind frame is the Titans. Would you bring Carson Wentz in as a backup to Tannehill? Now, and would he do that? Now, I'm sure it's going to be some people out there that love Carson Wentz, but kind of for a rehab, kind of what we did for Tannehill in a backup role. And guess what? If he has to miss a couple games, hey, man, if you go 2 games and you out there throwing bad balls, you're going to lose all sight of, your chances in the NFL ever again. So I would be looking at, and I would be, if I'm the GM, reaching out to his agent saying, hey, is this something that you guys would be interested in?
Logan Woodside's putting on his eye black as we speak.
Yeah, and I think Logan Woodside would be a great practice squad quarterback. He hasn't played in an NFL game. I can't. I'm trying to go somewhere, and it's now.
Right.
1 year, and that's it. So if Tannehill goes through some hiccups, guess what? I got somebody who can actually push him. Not to say he's going to beat him out, but you never know. These quarterbacks get hot and cold. Carson Wentz could get hot. And he guy shows he's tough. He played a lot last year, banged up, hurt.
Remember, he had surgery to start the season. They were saying he was going to be out forever.
Well, yeah. It ended up playing.
He
had no business. He had a hurt ankle versus the Titans. He had no business, at least here. To me, he had no business playing. So, yeah, I would consider that. I don't know if his camp would be into the backup deal. That's how I would be looking at it from a Titans point of view. Would you be interested in that?
Oh, no, I'd be super. Him as a backup?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Him as a backup. Carson Wentz is your backup quarterback?
You could do so much worse.
You could do, yeah. Most teams are doing worse.
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to figure out where or what team actually wants him as a starter. I'm sure there's going to be some teams out there, but which team? I don't think it's going to be San Francisco.
No, they drafted a guy.
Would it be the Seahawks? I don't know. If they got, let Russell Wilson go. Mm-hmm. Or, he gets traded. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out where some spots are.
Pittsburgh. I don't want Ramon to pull the car off the road here or anything. They're probably going to just draft whomever they want and roll with that guy. But, man.
It's hard to see any GM looking at him as a franchise quarterback
right.
after the last 2 seasons.
Thank you, Lucas. Yeah.
My daughter and I had this discussion. She wants to be a musician. And for all of you who are listening who've tried that route like me, I know we've talked about it. But at some point, I was having a discussion with a guy who's currently out on tour. And he said, look at people like Tim McGraw. He said, Tim McGraw's in his 50s. He could put out an album tomorrow and the whole world would buy it. And it would have hit songs on it. He's still relevant.
He's acting.
But there are just a handful of people who stay relevant in the music business. And that was an example he gave. And 100% I agree. Like Tim McGraw could put out an album tomorrow in his 50s and it'd be a really big deal. But for a lot of bands or acts, at some point, somebody just decides you're not relevant anymore. And you go into the oldies circuit, right? Your crowds are smaller. You play smaller venues. You're not a headliner anymore. You open for somebody. You play on a tour with, suddenly you and Poison are out on tour with, the remnants of the band Rat and whatever. At some point, and Dokken, which has one original member or whatever, at some point somebody just decides, either the record buying public or somebody with your label or whatever, just decide you're not relevant anymore. The quarterback question is the same thing to me. Like, what is Carson Wentz now? Because Cam Newton had to figure this out, right? People didn't look at him as a starter anymore, and he's probably done with his chances. Joe Flacco went through this, where he'd taken his team to a Super Bowl. And then suddenly, okay, is he just a backup? So he's kind of floating around now. Has Carson Wentz hit the point now where his next deal is for $4 million and he's a backup somewhere? And then if somebody gets hurt or something and he's a starter, look at him, he's right back. But to me, that when the switch gets flipped for quarterback is one of the more fascinating things in the NFL.
Well, you can rejuvenate that. I don't know his age. He doesn't seem like
he's young.
Yeah, is he 30 yet? If Tannehill's going to be 34 when the season starts, I'm thinking he's still under 30. Maybe around the 29-8 range.
He's 29.
29.
He's 29.
So he can rejuvenate his career. So you can sell it to him. And I'm thinking like his agent and John Robinson that, hey, man, you can rejuvenate your career. You can kind of watch from the sideline. And if you get an opportunity, make the most of it and kind of grow that way. And guess what? We have a platform. We've shown you that we do this because Tannehill did the same thing.
Yeah.
Now, some people in the organization or fans won't want him, but you're not talking about as a starter, as a backup. And you're getting a security blanket, at least of someone who was in the MVP conversation till he got injured, who's kind of rejuvenated his career. He's a good quarterback. He's just not an elite quarterback at this time. So maybe we can catch, some little bit of light ball fire there, and when he gets out there and play, if that happens. And that way you keep the thing rolling. So that's kind of how I view Carson Wentz if I'm John Robinson.
That'd make things interesting on Tannehill's end, wouldn't it?
Yep, because I guess
I've seen this movie before.
I'm glad you brought that up because this is why I'm doing it. I want to bring the best, and if you can't handle the pressure of a former starter in this league as your backup, then you are on the other side. Then you're not for sure not our guy, and yeah, so that kind of and some people already believe that. But I'm gonna still I'm gonna either push you to be better, or then you're gonna melt down and this is over and this ride is over anyway after this year. So that's kind of how I view it. And you get Wentz maybe for a 1-year deal. I don't know how you view him. You can even do it for 3 years as a backup with some, where he can get out and you can get out, which is kind of interesting. That's why Tannehill can't be moved. Look at the difference between the GMs. Ballard can get out of Carson Wentz's deal. Even though he gave up a pick, he still can get out. Gave him the salary, can't get out of this deal until after next season. So a little bit different. So, and that's why you have really no choice to stick with them. And sometimes that's good, and sometimes it's bad. We shall see. We'll see how he responds. That's Tannehill.
We got to put this out on a poll question, too. Carson Wentz is a backup, yes or no?
Yeah.
Because Blaine said this. You can't think like a fan. I don't like that guy. That guy's
as a backup.
As a backup on your team, and if you had to play.
So is he better than Logan Woodside? Is what you should be thinking.
That's the question right there. Mm-hmm. Ooh, we're going to put this out. We're going to see what you guys have to say about it. I can't wait to see the responses.
I'm going to say no.
And we'll have, hey, listen, in the second, we got a great guest coming up, Tyler Sullivan. In the second hour of the program, we'll do Ding Dong of the Week. We're going to bring this up several times during the show today and other things. So we'll have plenty of time to take your phone calls coming up as well on the Mark Spain Real Estate
Hotline.
About
that Super Bowl, too.
Well. We got to talk about that. And we'll do that and more next with Tyler Sullivan, CBS Sports.